What's going on, Cowboys Nation? It's Wednesday. It's right about that time. Y'all know the drill. Time to recap last Sunday's game with the historical win against the New England Patriots. Let's start the show.
BJ Nix, are you here?
Present.
Present. Spoonie, Timothy Spoonie.
Present, sir.
Margaret and Mary. Do we have a Margaret and Mary?
Yes. Cool. And the margaritas.
All right. Class here. We're ready. Let's go.
Yes, let's go.
And the Cowboys have it. It's Parsons on top of it.
Yes. And I did say historical. 38-3, the Cowboys bounced back against the New England Patriots after dropping one out there in the desert. In the historical reference, and that is in the 29 years of Mr. Bill Belichick, a.k.a. the Hoodie, the largest defeat ever in his career, 35 points. Whew. Boy, it's going to be a fun one to break down for sure after what we had to go through last week. With that being said, Ms. Mariella, how are we doing this Wednesday?
I'm great, man. I went to the game on Sunday. It was great energy, great to see, great crowd, and came back with a win. So that's what's important.
That part. My God, Dom. How we doing, brother?
You know, fantastic husband, daddy, pastor, hero,
nice.
a little bit of everything, getting it all in this week.
Just as normal midday vibe.
I'm excited about something because it seems like Dallas has a new number 2 receiver that has emerged. We'll talk a little bit about that.
We'll get to that one. My guy Spoonie, you have survived the great flood of 23 in New York. How are we doing, my friend?
I mean, even though the Cowboys broke my 3-game winning streak of 40 burgers, every time I pick 40 burger, they end up getting the 40 burger. You know, we lost by 2 points, but happy this team is back. As I said, they will be they're making noise, and let's get ready for war at the Bay.
10-4. First and foremost, our guy Professor O is going to be out tonight. Got to take care of a little fam business, but he'll be back in the building come Friday. So, want to pick up a little slack, right, if you will. So, I mean, off top, man. You know, obviously when we were covering the pregame for this, man, the big question was, can the real Cowboys stand up? I mean, are you more the first 2 games, or are you, what you were in the desert, right? And kind of when you go to the desert, and you're real thirsty, struggling, all of a sudden you might see what they call a mirage, right? Like, oh, there's an oasis over there. Let me go get a sip of water. Let me try to figure some things out. And what we found out in this game was it was definitely a mirage out there, if you will. in Arizona because the Cowboys came back to life. This defense looked like who they're supposed to be. This offense, some things we got to talk about, some things, but this offense made some way as well too. Very nice to see them get back to their ways in 3 games, 108-13. Sheesh.
Yeah.
Sheesh. Smoking Mary. It was on it. I know you was turned up at the game.
Oh yeah, like I couldn't turn my head for 2 seconds. I'm like, oh, there's something else happened. Like it was like I said, the energy was great. And it was, as y'all know, I came into this game a little apprehensive. I thought it would be a lot closer, and so I'm very happy to be proven wrong.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I had it 24-13. I said it would be the under, and the Cowboys would cover the 6.5, 24-13. Here's the thing, Dom. I had the 24 points, right? That's what the offense actually scored. Oh, but then he just came back around and got us 2 more, didn't they?
Yeah, what was it? Yeah, I think it was exactly 23 points the offense scored.
24 because I got the 2-point conversion.
Okay, yeah.
They slid it right in.
I see what you did there. Yeah, to me, it was a nice offensive display. I like the Tony Pollard quote where he says, "We're slowly getting there. We're slowly getting where we need to be." And when we think about this, we already know that for Dallas, it's about all the marbles, playing for what's going to happen in the playoffs, getting some success there.
Right.
And we've seen where they've had times where it's like, did they peak too early? Well, this team hasn't peaked at all. We still see that there's some progress needed on the defensive side of the ball. But for the 3 out of the 4 of the games that they played, they've done great. But still, there's some improvement needed, especially on offense. Red zone woes have been the thing that everybody mentions. But to think that we've had games where we've only had 2 of our starting offensive linemen, we've had 3 of the offensive linemen. So maybe once we'll finally get them all together. We still haven't used Brandon Cooks to his fullest ability. He's also rehabbing an injury and playing through things like that. So nowhere are we close to seeing this offense firing on all cylinders. And that is a good thing if you're Cowboys Nation, because we've seen teams peak too early. And so it's a slow burn. It's a slow process. Be patient with it. We're only in the first quarter of the season, and we know the sloppiest ball for most teams is going to be in the first 3 to 4 games. So hopefully, with what we saw this past week, offense bringing some things back into the fold. We only punted 2 times.
Yeah.
2.
Oh, can I give you another stat? The Cowboys are number 3. Okay, number 3 in the league on percentage of scoring on offensive drives. 53.4, I think it is. Number 3 in the league on scoring. So to that point, you're talking about them 2 punts there, Dom. We've said this throughout, even in the loss. It's not that the Cowboys offense isn't moving the ball.
It's moving.
Or even getting some scores. Got to find a way to get those 3s to 7s.
Right.
Yeah.
What it boils down to.
Yep. So that's the big
Can you
thing.
imagine if they did, and how big the difference in the scores would be? Like,
oh, we'd be talking
they'd
50
be
burgers,
mad at
Mary.
me.
Yeah.
They'd be really mad at me on Twitter then. They'd be real mad.
And here's the thing you just said, Dom. We're not even in our final form yet. You know what I mean?
They'll create another new stat to hate on.
They're
They'll
not
be
even
like, what's
close.
the next stat that we can come
And,
up
you know,
with?
and to mention that, right? Because there was an account that put the stat out there, right? Quarterbacks responsible for points. That's exactly why when I saw that go up, I'm like, boy, look at this damn goalpost move. So at that point, I said, you know what? Okay, I got a little time today. I got my bag a little bit, Dom. Dom maybe inspired me a little bit. I said, let me just go pull the stats real quick for all the quarterbacks in the NFC East and just let me lay them out there for everybody. Had some people salty about some of them stats. Had some people salty. Let me give you another one, Cowboys Nation. Here's another free. Oh my God, the props. Let me give you another free one real quick, because all you hear is, well, the Cowboys are just running the ball, so Dak, they're limiting Dak's mistakes. Hey, anybody real quick? Do you know where Dak ranks in pass attempts in the league right now?
Top 10.
Anybody? Top 10. He's throwing the rock. Stop. I get it. The goal's got to move. I mean, it's got to move. As we know the star. As the star turns, as I like to tweet and talk about, that's the move. But when you really get into the numbers that really, really matter, You see, it's a facade. Anybody can just sit here in the chair and say some stuff. It just sound good.
Right.
You know, any drunk guy at the bar, any sports bar, and he's like, that guy, he's just not good. And you can run with that. You can run with that. But then when you look at the numbers and you're watching the games and you're seeing what's going on, and we're talking about scoring over 50% of their offensive drives. I'm telling you, they only punted 2 times last week. Dak, top 10 in pass attempts already. I mean, it's Fugazi. Let's see what y'all call it up there in New York. Fugazi?
Facts.
BJ, again, we are the villains. We are in the movie. We are the villains, and I'm loving it. In every movie we watch, we always root for the hero, but in this case, I'm rooting for the villain. We are part of the villain. Dak's a heel now. That's just the way it is. And at the end of the day, as I said before, if everything goes with what we want in February of 2024, it's time for us to shut it down. And I mean, really shut it down. This is what it is. They're going to move the goalposts every time the Cowboys do something good and every time the Cowboys do something different. I don't see anybody talking about the team the Niners beat. I mean, I saw CMC get praised for his 4 touchdown performance in the end zone against the Cardinals. And, I know why he scored 4 touchdowns, because it was a message to us. Say, hey, look at what we can do in the red zone. Don't worry about it, Niners fan, because hopefully you guys are wearing red jersey, because if you're wearing white, the blood will pour on your stadium, and we're going to we will be the cause of that. So,
well, let me just allow me. Just allow me for a second. As you're mentioning heel Dak.
Yeah, appreciate that.
As you're mentioning, can I be there?
Every day.
Let me turn that.
Every day.
Hold on.
Every day, Tom. Let
me just.
Thank you, guys.
Let me know if y'all can hear. Let me know if y'all can hear that well enough or not.
Yeah, it was good.
What was the feeling leaving that locker room last January against those guys?
Uh-oh. Right, I'm gonna pause it right there. Let me pause it right there.
Look at that.
Pause it right there.
He's pissed.
Let me pause it right there. I'm in the bag tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I'm in the bag tonight. Because I've been talking about this since preseason. About the villain arc, as Mary said. The heel turn, if you will, coming from our guy, Dak Prescott. Because here's the reason why. He's been a great leader. We know about the leadership. But you know what you don't have? You haven't had an empowered leader. That's what Mike McCarthy has turned him into is an empowered leader. Now, watch this right here. For my wrestling fans, right? For my wrestling fans, if you're not a wrestling fan, just bear with me for a second. You had Roman Reigns, and he was being pushed. Oh my God, he's being pushed. And then what they did was they put Paul Heyman behind him. Maybe a larger, older white gentleman that just whispered in the ear. And now you got our own Paul E. Heyman and Dak Prescott. Look at that face. Let me finish this quote out. Let me finish this quote out real quick.
I mean, it's obvious. I mean, we're so far past that, to be honest with you, but that's obvious. I mean, you just want to piss me off going into this week, and I appreciate that. I do, actually. I do. Yeah, appreciate that. I mean, every day. Every day, Tom, every day.
Every day. That's smart.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, So I'm here. Either you live. What's the old saying? You live long enough to be. You're the good guy. Live long enough to become the villain or whatever. I mean, that's just what we got, and that's what. Hey, man, I'm here for it. So again, just to kind of put a soliloquy about from my guy Space Cowboy. As soon as Dom had hit the 2 punts, it triggered me. Sorry.
We got
I had to drop
it. Okay.
Yeah. I was like, man, look, I'm tired of hearing this mess. And I mean, it was almost like, whenever the dig stuff was going on, a couple years ago, right? And they were like, all these yards given up. He's having 11 interceptions and everything else. I was like, oh man, they're just trying to do anything. So, yeah. Neither here nor there.
They said they were easy interceptions.
Oh my God, yeah.
Jesus. Another one too.
So easy. Why is everybody not getting 11? They're so easy.
And the thing too.
Go ahead.
And the thing too, the fact that the offense is not where it needs to be, they know that as far as the red zone. But we've scored just as many touchdowns on the offense at this point as they did last year.
Right.
But the fact is, they're getting down to the red zone. They're number one in the whole league when getting it to the red zone. There's 19 trips, but they got to somehow turn that 35% completion rating from getting touchdowns up to somewhere around 60. If they can get it there, then that's where you really want to be. So the fact that they're already getting down there at a high clip, if they now just turn it around and punch that thing in with the type of defense that they have, that's going to be a complementary football that is unlike any that we've seen out of a Dallas Cowboys team. Just look at this past week where the Dolphins, 2 weeks ago, they were on the big high, putting 70 up on the board, could have went for the NFL record to score 77, but, took their foot off the gas. And then this past week, it completely flipped. They're the ones getting embarrassed by 28 points against Buffalo. So that team has some issues, but they're still a solid team. They can just get a few things corrected. Everybody's going to have one of those games where you're going to put up just an awful performance. Now, Philadelphia hasn't played, hasn't fired on all cylinders either. So as a Cowboys fan, we also have to be balanced because that is an extremely good squad with a deep roster, and they're coming for it too. So we're the ones, we're going for them. But overall, no one team out there is so far ahead of the other. You just need Dallas to worry about itself, correct their own issues, and become more efficient so they can be that complementary team in all three phases.
Man, fair. I'm sorry you got here late. You have to rewind it. I gave an elite wrestling reference. But let me show you my face whenever I read that whole diatribe of quarterbacks and points they're responsible for. Can I show you the face I had? Is that okay?
Good.
That was me looking at my
right.
phone. When I read that and I went all the way down and read it, that's exactly the face I had when I read that whole putrid tweet. Or
You know
post
how
now,
like
so I guess it's post.
you like when you read something and it's just so ridiculously wrong that you're like, there's no way they're this wrong. So maybe I'm tripping. Like I've read it a few times, like maybe I'm tripping and this is a thing. Like it was that bad.
Maybe we all look like that.
Yeah.
Maybe we all look like that. We just read the tweet. It was like,
this is just maybe I completely missed something in all my years of football. Like it was that bad. I was
yeah, no,
it can't
my
be
goodness.
this bad. It can't be.
Right. but I was like, here we are. My goodness, but here we are. But with that being said, all right, and we'll get back into the actual offense as well here because there obviously a lot to talk about against this New England team that lined up for us for sure. In that, all right, we'll go. Let's roll that right. Let's roll right into the red zone for a second. All right, let's go into there. Another week, another tight end dropping a touchdown pass from a dot. Schoonmaker. Then you have the unfortunate situation of Dak makes the right call. He kills the play, gets to the right play. I mean, any of us in this chat, any of us on this panel, if we just got the ball cleanly, we would have walked into the sea parted. And unfortunately, Pollard didn't get the check, and there's a miscommunication there, which goes back to what I've been saying, and a lot of us have too, that ultimately it's about them executing more so than the play calling, right? And I was like, hell, he could have just picked up Dak and ran him in. It wouldn't even matter. Yeah. I mean, it was so open. It's like, never mind, Dak. We're just going to both go in at the same time. I mean, it was a perfect check. It was great blocked up there to the right side between Steele and between Steele and Martin. But it's just those little things that you got to clean up. And of course, as you said, you're not at your peak yet. Those things you have to work for, but this is a game. We'll talk about this more on Friday, where you got to turn some of these threes into sevens. Right now you got to start ramping up and kind of get there. So, and then here's the other side here, Spoon. So the Cowboys do score in the red zone, and I'm calling it a red zone score first and foremost. You're on the 20 and 1 inch line.
Yeah.
Come on, you're on the 20 and 1 inch line, but it doesn't. It doesn't officially count. And then of course and then we get the one from Artatanka. Big man ain't supposed to cut like that, Spoon. Dom, Mary, you got that little jump cut, got on in that thing, and Mr. Livke gets his first touchdown. So, yeah, it's there. And again, unfortunately, it is about them executing, what's going down in there. But again, they're getting there, and we think that it will turn around eventually. But our guy, Spoonie, our Bison, our Tatanka Lipke, finally getting his first touchdown, man.
When I saw that, I was like, in my mind, I said, I know BJ's very hyped right now because during the offseason draft process, you was the real. I mean, we was on it, but you was the main one, calling out Lipke through every mock draft. Then it would be sometimes, I pick somebody other than Lipke, and at the end of the day, it was meant for him to be here. He wore, in my opinion, Hall of Fame number, Mike Allstott's number 40, and to see him running that end zone like that, it was amazing. It was great. So, again, and that's one of the guys that we mentioned on the last show last week of guys that you want to put in the red zone. You want to have his name being called for that. And again, now that we see that, continue. Let's do it more often. And that's just the thing about it. So very happy for the rookie. Very happy for the rookie.
And Mary, we're just kind of watching the evolution here for Hunter Lipke as they've slowly brought him along, giving him a little bit more week to week, and he's walking through the door every time. So for you, is this something you think we're going to see more of now as they keep him a little bit more on display and he keeps coming through?
Oh yeah, I mean, I definitely hope so. I know when that happened at the game, I was like, "What?" Like it was just, I like how they've been kind of, trying to get everybody some touches. I feel like in previous years, like we had certain guys where we're like, maybe we'll see him this week, and we never see anything. Or so I'm glad that he's, that first touchdown is important because that can build up his confidence and hopefully keep him on the right trajectory for them to want to use him more and for him to be more confident in what he's doing.
Hey, and for everybody in the building, as always, make sure hit the like, hit the sub. We will be giving away a signed Trayvon Diggs jersey Monday, so make sure you're subbed here. I'll give you the details. Stick around here at the end. I'll definitely be giving y'all some more details on that and how you can be entered in the draft and get your two entries into the pool to see who wins the Diggs jersey. So end of the show, I'll definitely get there for sure. Dom, let's talk about the offensive line for a second, though. A little question mark with Chuma, and you kind of mentioned it. This is probably a game you wanted Chuma and not to start a rookie because of Bill Belichick, what he brings to the table, and Chuma being familiar with playing against the Jets since I'm playing against the Patriots, being there with the Jets, and a nice bounce back game for him.
I mean, very, very nice bounce back game, and it's kind of a little bit of what we talked about, where if you keep him at the tackle spot and having Tyler Smith just man the middle, do what he does, fighting in the booth, then you can help him out a little bit on the outside. But there were times where he didn't receive any help at all, and he held his own. I know last week going into the game, we were all concerned about Judon and what he would be able to do against either guy, even going up against Terrence Steele. But to see the performance that our tackles put up against some pretty good pass rushers from New England, for them to be able to isolate our guys one-on-one, for them to have quick flowing linebacker right there in the middle, and our guys to be able to hold up against their own and do their thing. Even if the defense wasn't firing on all cylinders, this felt like a dominant performance by the trench guys where Dallas was able to even turn that game out if we put up or weren't able to stop them from scoring, where they only scored 3 points. So the fact that it would have been 24-3, even if our defense didn't score or our special teams wasn't showing up, we still would have had a good performance out of an offensive line that put you in a position to win. So you can't ask for anything more out of your depth pieces whenever they step in. You don't want anybody to turn into a Chaz Green type. You don't want them to leave them alone and leave them on an island like they did Chaz that night against the Atlanta Falcons years ago. So Dallas is doing exactly what they need. They're doing what we would expect of them as fans. Help protect, but also find better depth, and it looks like they've done that.
Let me ask you this. I don't know if you got a chance to watch it. Did you get a chance to look at Terrence Steele in the Patriots game?
Yes.
Bounce back or still a little after the Arizona game?
It was definitely a bounce back from the Arizona game. But again, this is a guy that's early season. He's getting his bearings straight. So he started out on fire coming out of the gates.
Mhm.
But now teams are starting to see, all right, how do we attack? And again, it's the inside pass rush move on any of our tackles. If you try to use the inside game, then you're probably going to have more success than trying to loop on the outside. Plus, Dak is doing a little bit better this year, stepping up in the pocket, finding his ways to get the ball out of his hands. So that's helping as well. And thankful to Mike McCarthy and bringing his install of the offense. So it is harder to get to Dallas, but and we're taking care of the ball. So you're thinking about a team where we got a +9 turnover differential because we've only turned it over once on offense, but gotten 10 turnovers on the defensive side of the ball. So you don't have to do too much. You don't have to worry about the offensive line holding up. But still, there have been times where Dak has had plenty of time to throw, get into his second and third progressions. So overall, they're doing fine. I'm not too worried about Steele at all at this point in the year.
10-4. And speaking of tight ends, though, we're going to just kind of go from the inside to the out a little bit. Spoony, guy Ferguson, what a great time for him to kind of walk through the door here somewhat because
Yeah.
he needs to be the number one, needs to get there. Some bigger games are coming up. We got this stretch of 4 games here. I mean, just everything was 7s all around. Look, 7 targets, 7 catches, 77 yards. Yeah. Ferguson maybe starting, and not only was it just going to the outs or maybe a drag into the seams that we talked about Friday, Spoon, getting some vertical out of that.
Right.
Ferguson starting to come into his own a little bit, huh?
Yeah, listen, when you get compliments from a guy like Travis Kelce and you wear his number 87, and if you wanna, when you get that type of compliment, you want to make sure that you rise to the occasion and make sure that person was never wrong. And again, he struggled the first couple of games of the season, but he got a great rebound game this game. He's second on the team right now with targets behind CeeDee Lamb. So, what that's telling us is that Dak really trusts him. Is that the fact of the matter is you want Dak to trust you sometimes to be even the number one guy being targeted at certain games because of the mismatch that you could create. So, with that being said, Ferguson had a great game. He did everything that we've been saying the last couple of weeks that we need him to do to be that number one guy. Now that the torch has been passed to him, Dalton Schultz is not here no more, and I think the more he keeps progressing, the more he's going to play, the more we can have another conversation of him being along the other titans. But first of all, keep it going to Sim and us winning football games and be part of the reason why we won. So, great rebound by Ferguson.
Yeah, and I think even more so from his showing this past Sunday. For now, I need Ferguson when it's red zone time. It's tied in more.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
that's where I'm at. I'm not him and can't be out there, but let's go ahead and really push a narrative. And he is the number one, and let him walk through that door for us is kind of where I'm at. Which then will turn it to, a little wide receiver action, and I wanted to save it here towards the end because I feel like it was a good time to really highlight a particular young man who took a lot of heat last year. Right? Took a lot of heat coming in here, and we've talked about this before, not really on his plate coming as a 3rd round pick, but the Cowboys, Stephen Jones literally, before they went to camp last year, was like, oh, he's the number 2. And so we're undue pressure on him. And, throughout the process, we've talked about through training camp, OTAs, preseason, how he's really battled. We could kind of see the turn coming from him. And, man, what a good game for him. The special teams play, and he does it not against just anybody. When he makes the big tackle that sets up the strip fumble, we'll talk about the defense here in a second. But it's against Slater, and if for those who don't understand who Slater is for them, he's basically their CJ Goodwin. He's been on 3 contracts. He's done All Pro. He's Pro Bowler, and he breaks through his blocks, makes the huge tackle there. And then too, I mean, Dom, it wasn't just the fact that what he did with we got 4 catches, 50 some odd yards. I think it was 4 catches, 52 or 54 yards.
Yeah,
he was early, Dom. We're watching him. To my opinion, we're starting to see him get in earlier and earlier, and it's in the motion, the blocking. I mean, he's not just being a one-trick pony here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we talked about a great deal. When you're a wide receiver 4 type and beyond, you're going to have to do something on special teams. But for him to fly down and make the kind of tackle that he's making, just showing the toughness, the ability to do whatever it takes to make the team and do it, to be able to make sure everybody around succeeds. He's doing that on special teams. Now he's starting to come around on offense. Again, give props to Mike McCarthy and that whole offensive scheme. It seems like these guys are starting to become a little bit more comfortable and confident in their abilities. And for him, we talked about it. Year one, it seemed to be just a simple confidence thing. He looks like a totally different guy. His eyes tell you completely different, and now that's translating to his performance on the field. For him to get, like you said, the 4 catches to 52 yards, 3 of those were first downs. So it's like being a chain mover. To be able to pick up those nice chunk of yards, because those are intermediate routes that he's running and getting nice yards for. That's exactly what we need out of this offense. And so you want to be able to have a wide receiver 4 who can produce like he's producing right now. So hats off to Jalen Tolbert, because you had to prove a lot of people wrong. A lot of people jumped off that bandwagon, but now you're slowly starting to win people back onto your side.
Yeah, again, just the payoff there for him, after battling. And, I don't even say like, maybe at times I feel like the jump from where he was to the NFL, maybe it was just a little too big. Maybe not even a confidence thing, right? Maybe a little too big for him. Go ahead, Mary.
I was actually going to mention that. So, coming into last season, I think I even said it on one of the shows where I was like, even with Noah Brown, Jalen Tolbert, they were trying to make these guys something that they weren't, especially with Noah Brown. Like he's always been a 4th fringe type of guy, and they were trying to make him higher than that, something he wasn't. Same thing with Jalen Tolbert. It's not his fault that he gets drafted and they bring him in immediately and they're like, oh, you're going to be the number 2. Like, it's not their fault that the Cowboys are putting this kind of pressure on them because they didn't take care of that position sooner. And so I definitely think it was one of those things where he just needed a year. I don't think it was necessarily lack of confidence. It's just he needed some more time to get acclimated.
Right. The only reason I brought up the confidence thing is because he said it himself. And he said it a couple of times. Like when we were out in camp and I got to hear him talk, he used a quote that said something like, confidence carries me. And then like a bunch of other people talked about it. Mike McCarthy then mentioned it, like coming into this second year, he just seems to be a guy that's ready. And so one of his quotes was, confidence, it carries me. And so I'm being confident going into this season. And like it's a day and night type of process. It's going to be something year after year that I become more comfortable with. And so he was really looking forward to the season to see all that hard work that he did in the offseason, him and Dak having the connection that they did in the Dak yard. Tolbert was in all of those pictures. Whenever they went down south, he was there. So he looked like a guy who was ready, primed to be able to make that leap. And so we're starting to see him be the guy that we thought he could be, but he's still not quite there yet. But again, year 3, year 4, it's down the road, and he knows that himself. So it's about exercising a little bit of patience as well.
Yeah, and the thing is anytime you see a player who a rookie who they had high expectations for, but then got dialed back because of the confidence level was too much for him. For him to have an off season the way he did, but then being asked to do other things and play wide receiver and on that special teams play right there, it was a great play. But to see who did that play, Jalen Tolbert, for him to see come out to the sidelines and be hyped about it, that tells me that this guy, he is ready for anything. Listen, this is gonna, right now moving forward, I'm not surprised that he will cut into some of the play time for the other receivers. Because at the end of the day, when you perform and you keep performing, the coaches believe in you more, the quarterback believes in you more, they're gonna want you on the field even more than what they really anticipate you being on the field. So, hats out to Tolbert, let him keep getting better, growing, and progressing.
Yeah, look, some 10 personnel, 11 and whatnot. And, the big thing from last year to this year, we already felt better about the depth there by getting Cooks and Gallup being more healthier. And I don't want to skip over Gallup, the last 2 games he's had as well, too, looking more like MG13. But then you add in, right, Tolbert. and we go from the Sahara Desert and non-adequate NFL depth at wide receiver through the first 4 weeks and seeing these guys play. Just the compilation of weapons there is just so much better. It's night and day from last year, guys. And Tolbert just makes it like it was already going to be better, but Tolbert just he's like the cherry on top as he's performing here and moving forward.
It's a hats off to other guys too. Besides Tolbert, even Turpin. Listen, but thank God also for McKeon. Turpin had a nice play.
Yeah, I got a good key. Yeah, that play. I got a little key about McKeon too. Go right ahead.
Yeah, so Turpin had a very nice play. He saw the end zone, but always be aware there's always somebody near protect that football. And he fumbled. He fumbled, but you know what? I loved about it. He came back in. The next play, they went right to him again. And he got the first down to keep the chains moving. The thing is this: you're gonna make mistakes,
right?
But don't let it drag you down. It can really hurt your whole game. It happened. It is what it is. We survived. Next play, and he had a good play for a first down. And you can tell that this team is growing in a different way that we haven't seen in a very long time. So hats off to Turpin as well.
Yeah. And let me land the McEwen train for a second. And I'm gonna and something that I've talked about. And anytime I see it in real time, I like to draw the lines to go back, a callback, I guess, if you will. And I've talked about the culture changing situation here, and I've talked about McCarthy coming in and changing the culture for the Cowboys and to winning football and things that you need to do. We've seen this 2 times now in 4 games, right? We've seen this 2 times where a guy maybe realistically doesn't need to be all the way down the field. The play is gone, whatever. We saw Tyler Biotish running his ass downfield, no business being down there, but there he was to fall on the fumble. And we just saw it again with Sean McEwen running downfield. Look, and I think was it the 10th highest this week, 10th highest speed from Turpin, over 20 miles an hour. And again, here's McEwen downfield there to scoop the fumble. Those are the inch plays. Those are the effort plays. Those are the difference between a hard-nosed football team effort, in those realms that make a difference. And those are the things, and stop me when I'm lying here, anybody, that we would get those big plays to fumble, we never recover them. There'd be nobody around. It'd be everybody else. It's the accountability that this coaching staff is holding these guys to, like, man, you play to the whistle. That is exactly culture. When I talk about Mike McCarthy changing the culture, as I have over the past 2-3 years, these are the plays that I mean. It's those things right there where these guys really don't, if they're not in the play, no one's going to be like, oh, well, why wasn't Tyler Biotish 45 yards down the field to recover it? Why was Sean McEwen, right, just caught up for the first time this year? Why wasn't he 60, 70 yards down the field to recover a fumble? But that lets me know that this is what's being coached and what is expected of them from this coaching staff and what they're, implementing into them. So I definitely want to touch on that for sure on that front. Let's flip over to the defense. Go ahead. I mean, wherever y'all want. I mean, defense. I mean, defense. We know 26, that quarterback 26. I mean, you can call him whatever you want. You ain't going to call him bland. I know that. Ain't nothing bland about that play. Nothing bland about him over there. Man, Dan Quinn. I mean, the wrinkles after getting bully balled a little bit. We saw some Mozzie bigger packages right next to Hankins. We saw LVE a little bit more linebacker. He's still playing edge. I'm telling guys, call on pause before we get any further. It hurts my eyes watching LVE play edge. It hurts my eyes. I kind of understand it because you're trying to set the edge. Look, he's not out there. Theoretically, he's out there to rush the passer when they're passing. Okay, theoretically. But ultimately, I think I understand, like, we're trying to set the edge. There's some of that there. It's trying to free up whoever the other guy may be lined up next to him. But dear goodness gracious. I mean, watching it.
So here's my thing.
You're at a loss for words.
No, I reported that from camp that, man, LVE is doing a lot with the defensive ends. Day 2, still more with the defensive ends. Day 3 is they flipping him to edge. Then you start to hear what some of the plans are. Micah comes out to say they're going to use me at zero tech. I'll be right over the nose. They've actually been doing that.
Yeah.
LVE has actually been on the edge rushing. Now, just because I reported that, don't mean that I wanted to see that happen. And I think some of the people that I'm fortunate enough to have some folks now be some faithful followers. It's almost like they feel like I'm now trying to defend Leighton Vander Esch as if it's a great idea that I would want to see him coming off the edge. Absolutely not. I'm just a reporter. Like in that moment, in that time. And then so coming out of the game against Arizona, I was actually wondering, one of my burning questions outside of, did you feel like Aisha asked the question of, do you feel like you played a little bit conservative, basically, to get that out of Mike? Because it felt like they definitely played conservative because of the offensive line issue. But my other question would have been to Quinn about using Micah at zero tech. And I can't remember who the sideline reporter was from this past game against the Patriots, but they did a great job in actually getting that answer. And they talked about using Micah more at zero tech, and then we actually saw it. So it seems like, y'all, the die has been cast. You're going to get more LVE blitzing off the edge, being an edge rusher, and you're going to get more of Michael coming straight there in the middle. And not just standing up, he's putting his hand in the dirt, like literally as a zero tech. So I still think it's a little too cute. I'm just a fat guy on my couch watching the game. I'm not Dan Quinn. But come on, Dan. What are we doing? What are we doing?
The only thing, here's the only thing I will say though is, and that was my big point Friday, was simply, I understand they're going to do it because Dan Quinn likes to do it. I just need him closer with Damone Clark. I need Damone Clark going to his fourth game starting. I need him to be there more to help Damone figure these things out and work through them. And I think, honestly, we did see him more there. I mean, we still saw him on the edge. No ifs or buts about it. But I think we did see him more there. And I think there's a reason why Clark played a little bit better. Maybe his best game, by the way, in what he had to do. And then we also saw another little wrinkle there with the linebacker, Spoonie. Wanya Thomas 0 snaps last week. Get some snaps this week. And on top of that, we saw Marquise Bell come into the game quicker this week. And boy, it was Spoon. Marquise Bell ain't scared to fill a hole. I don't know how long the 215-pound guy will last doing it, but he ain't scared to fill a hole.
I mean, listen, part of again, we shut down the run. That was the one thing we said last week that we had to fix. We had a very bad game against the Cardinals. There was people didn't do their assignments. The run defense was very terrible. And again, what did we a lot of us recognize? We recognized that Bell and Wanya Thomas didn't play. They didn't play, and so they're recognizing the difference by putting Bell and Wanya in there. They are very effective against the run. And we know Zeke. And listen, we love Zeke. No disrespect to Zeke. But Ramondre Stevens is a very good power running back, and we shut him down. We shut the whole thing down. And that was the one thing that we emphasized last week coming into this game. The number one thing, stopping the run. If you can stop the run, you could play Mac Jones to our strengths, right. And that's exactly what happened. And I know you said earlier about Hankins and Mozzie. That play that Mac Jones got stripped by Fowler, that interior push by those two, I don't want to get off the subject, but that interior push by those two was a main reason that you saw Mac Jones come this way, but Fowler stripped him, and the LVE took it for the touchdown. So again, playing your assignments is very important, and it was very effective in the game this past Sunday against the Patriots. So again, hats off to Wanya Thomas and Bell, because at the end of the day, it's going to be hard to keep those guys off the field. But we want Damone Clark to get some big plays as well. We do need that as well. He's a bigger guy.
I didn't know if I was going to be able to mute or not. I thought Dom was sliding in. My fault. I dropped the ball there. My fault. Look, and some great points, Spoon, as far as, them getting into their alignments, doing their things. There was some alignments I'm like, why is there 4 million guys over there? But me too, Dom. I'm sitting here and watching Dave. I'm like, okay. But, the pressure. Dante Fowler had a good game as well. And he's had moments here and there, but Dante Fowler, and not even just a strip sack fumble that LV scored on, what you said, but he was just doing his thing. And allow us to give the props where it needs to be given. Neville Gallimore, I think most of these people in the chat, around the way. No way Neville's making it.
Yeah.
Neville, boy. Whatever, it's almost like if you look at the tape, he caught on to what that center was doing with the head bob a little bit, and Neville was absolutely knifing and causing havoc this game.
Yeah, and it was probably his best game, I think, to date as a Cowboys player. For him to have a couple of splash plays, and honestly, it's exactly what we're going to need this upcoming week against San Francisco. You're going to have some guys in the middle playing bully ball. You're going to be able to have even some of your bigger guys who might have to go out to 5 tech whenever you're bringing in extra bodies based on what San Francisco may do to you. And we know that the week before, one of the issues against Arizona was they're running right there at our edges. Our defensive tackles did okay. This week, they did even better. And so they were back to their form the first couple of games. So if we can get our edge guys to be able to set that edge for the run defense with the interior guys doing what they're doing and to have the depth of a Gallimore, bringing the kind of game that he brought, man, he had 3 splash plays in that game and then was solid with a few other snaps. So definitely if we were to do the game ball situation, he's one of those depth guys where you go, man, you might get one.
And then, of course, go ahead, Smoke.
No, I was going to say Dorrance Armstrong. I don't want to, leave it without no flowers. He was also good against the run this past Sunday as well. That's a guy that a lot of us had us saying, "Oh, let's trade him. We're going to trade him X, Y, and Z." He may not be with us next offseason due to his contract, but he's another one who was. Listen, I forgot who was talking about him, but they was talking about in camp where he looks different as far as his build, stronger. It's a whole new different body, and it showed on Sunday. He was another one very good against the run. So, hey, listen, man. I just want to give my flowers out to Mr. Armstrong.
Spoonie, I know what you just did.
What do it down?
You trying to segue to a Randy Gregory thing because also go back to a year ago.
I was thinking that too.
And there were some of us that said for the money.
Yeah.
I mean, what is Randy Gregory doing that Armstrong really wasn't doing?
Right.
I mean, statistically, Armstrong had a great season last year. Gregory didn't see the field, but even then, when you look at the times Gregory was on the field with Dallas, Armstrong had just as good a stats as him, if not better. And then this year, you already see what's happening right now with him being a solid piece for Dallas. And Gregory is now available, soon to be available. I don't know if it's completely gone through. You know how it's all about contractually and when that stuff actually happens. But the reports are he's released from the Broncos. So Dallas somehow ended up dodging a bullet by being able to keep a solid guy like Dorrance Armstrong and not trading him even this past offseason, where a lot of speculation was he's a key piece that Dallas could move.
Right. And look, thought I was going to get through here on Gregory, but I guess we can talk about it. It's a no for me. It's a no for me on all fronts. It's simply you would have to drop somebody to get him onto the roster. I mean, who are you dropping? And I don't care. And look, I've seen people say, well, Hendershot or Vaughn or whatever. Okay, you can drop somebody that's not defensive line wise. Okay, if you're comfortable doing that. Whose steps are you taking away from to give him? Yeah. And why?
Not Fowler, because Fowler's been great in spots. Yeah. His issue, just line up on side, like don't
that part.
Like you that part. You ain't gonna go away.
Yeah, it's a. Yeah, well, and of course, in our back channels as it was happening, and I joked, I was like, "Gregory to Dallas soon, LOL." And then a couple guys like, "No." I was like, Cowboys Nation is going to, as soon as they see it, bring him back. So it's a no for me for those reasons. Anybody, Mary, Gregory, you interested in?
Unless he can play left tackle, no.
No. Dom, I'm guessing no for you as well.
Yeah, it's no for me, dog.
Spooning, wild card. Yeah. Oh, Sweeney done turned the. All right, Sweeney, come on.
He can't help it.
I'll say this. I'll say, is it a need now? No. Well, we have something going on is very great. You know, whose spots are you going to take? You got Sam Williams there. You got Armstrong. You know, you got a lot of pieces. But if God forbid, if there was the one that's trying to use the right words, but let's just say somebody won't be available for some time, I will go and call Randy Gregory. Sometimes, you know, it's easy to put out the stats and numbers what he did in Denver. Denver, don't disrespect by me saying it, it's a shit show in Denver right now. The circus. Circus over there. Let's just be honest. We're hitting Patrick 13 Jr. being shopped around the league. You understand what I'm saying? So it's crazy over there. But I'll say this. If thinking about the person and Randy Gregory, stay away from the contract. If the Cowboys were to land him, I could say mentally he will feel he's at home. And he will, I'm not saying he will be the same player he was before the contract, but I will say he will play much better than when he is in Denver. But again, I'm not saying to get him now, only if somebody won't be available. Let's say it was D-Law, something like that.
Oh, don't even speak into existence. Don't even.
We lost a young man in undrafted free agency to the Colts. That's the guy that I wish would have still been here, you know, and filled up the spot. But like I said, if something happens to anybody, bring in Gregory. It don't hurt. That's just me, but not an immediate need right now. No.
Yeah, I'd rather go sign Land off their practice squad to our active roster than Gregory right now. If I got to put some of that,
hey, we could get Isaiah Line back. I'm good with that.
I think to your point though, Spoon, if there was an injury that's going to be long term, and he was available, right? You would have to, you would have to maybe consider, a move like that. Here's the other side of it too, and take like for me right now, the way this team is constructed, it's a no. Spoony, to your point, if you need something happens, you have to add somebody. I can understand that.
Yep.
But ultimately, we said a lot of things about Stephen Jones' front office out the door, and ultimately that might be the whole thing. In that being a way. No, we'll answer this question. We'll keep moving on here real quick because I know we got to finish up the defense. Would you go back first for Patrick Surtain, Jr.?
Yep, I would have gave it up yesterday.
Can't do it. You can't do it though. You can't do it. You can't do it with the contracts you have. Yes, if we're turning off the salary cap, I'm with you now. I'm with you, but there's just no way. Not with what's coming down the pipeline, and you still got to worry about what you're going to do with tackle next year. There's a lot of things here in this team that you're going to get to next year that you're going to look at and do. And look, again, I would love to go get him, but let me say it this way: sure, if it's me, it ain't my money. Go for it, figure it out, make it happen. I just don't think the Cowboys are going to go do it.
Yeah, the first round pick that's for an offensive lineman next year. If maybe offensive lineman next year, another skill position player being in there. I don't think they can do that.
Cowards.
Not a coward. Not a coward.
Cowards.
Not a coward.
Wait, Dom, you would do it?
Yes, I would.
Oh,
talk your talk.
Man.
Well, here's the thing. We do this too often as fans. And I know we're trying to be logical. We think about the salary cap. We think about overall team construction and how you build that thing out over the next few years. But the fact is, teams change drastically every year. Your chances also change drastically. You don't always keep the same momentum from one year to the next. What we see with this team right now and that defense being able to do what it's doing and having Dan Quinn at the helm leading that thing, we may not have Dan Quinn next year. You may not have a certain piece or two on that defense for various reasons. And I'm not even going to go there on what those reasons could be because I don't want to, mess this thing up. But This
money
is your
ain't happening,
chance.
Ben.
This is your chance right now to be able to do something and to be able to bring a piece like that that's already proven, that's still young, and then you can still rent him, move off of him. There's all types of things. But to say that if I want to be able to have a true lockdown defense to feel comfortable again on both sides, I know we're high on Bland. He got the 2 interceptions with the pick six being one of them. He's been great thus far. There's still going to be that moment where he's the guy that people are going to look towards, including our guy on the outside who's been there for a while. We've all talked about, is it, do we see the athleticism? Has he lost a step and a half or two? And you're starting to see the type of routes that are successful against Stefan.
Drags in over, yeah.
So for me, I'm just like, man.
I'm hearing what you're saying now, but but here's what you also said. You're like, well, it's nice what Diggs is or what Bland's doing. He had the 2 interceptions. Has he started the full season yet?
Oh.
Has he started the full season yet? I'm just asking.
No.
We developed, right? How many games has he started?
What,
10?
like
12?
Yeah.
What is it?
I think like 10.
Oh no, he's starting more than that because J. Lou went down pretty early, and then AB. So
Right, so
He did
so
4
he played
last year. He did 4 last year, and
Just
then up to this point.
That he started? Yeah,
No,
it's
he
not
started
that
more
many.
than
started
I think he
4
started
last
more
year.
than 4. I think it's I believe it's 10.
I think
I believe
it's
it's
10.
10.
10 is what
I think it's 10 because he didn't start because he didn't. It might have been like 8 this. I think it was 8 last year and 2 this year. Actually,
right.
I think it's what it is, or maybe not. Something anyway. It's somewhere around 10. He's got 8 interceptions. Is my point, right?
Yeah.
So we're just superseding him like he's not that or he's not building and coming forward. Okay,
But my thing is, when we start to play teams that have 2 to 3 good wide receivers, one elite, one that's on the way to become elite, that's whenever you have some of the issues. And like last year, watching him against Smitty for the Eagles was not good.
I
Like that kind of dynamic mover, like it's going to be tough. I'm interested to see this upcoming week against Ayuk. Ayuk is the same type of mover. So whenever it's time for the deep playoff run, those are type of receivers and groups that you're gonna you're gonna come up against. And so that's why I'm like, to add a Patrick Surtain to what we already have, that just gives you that other piece to allow Dan Quinn to do what he does. And that gives your front four more of an opportunity to really get after it. And it actually protects our weakest group, which is the linebackers. So now you can have 3 linebackers back there, a guy dropping back and just let the front 3, front 4, whatever it may be, do their thing, because you're getting that extra bit of time because your guys on the outside are starting to lock it down. So for me,
what 3 linebackers? What 3 linebackers? Our
hybrid. Our hybrid.
Oh, these damn linebackers sometimes, I swear. Oh, man.
Y'all get it.
I know. No. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
I'm looking.
Not for me yet.
Overall, I'm just saying, overall, I would be totally fine to have another Amari Cooper type of a trade where you're giving up first rounder for a solid guy.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, I'm not going to be against adding a guy in here, as long as it makes sense, right? And that's where it is. Amari Cooper, you needed to do that. It had to happen, and where that team was. And look, right now, if this thing turns and we're getting towards the trade deadline, and that's a move they need to make, then so be it, right? But again, I think it has to make sense in the right realms, and I think you nailed it right there, Don, for sure. If it makes sense, then go do it. Right now, for me, going to trade for Surtain does not make sense at the moment.
Just give up a second round pick. Just we don't do well with it anyway.
Oh, there you go. Give them the next 2 seconds.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Here, take 2 seconds. Here, take 2 seconds. It's fine.
Told Jeremy to call one of his favorites. Told Jeremy to call one of his favorite sons, John Payton. Listen, we got a good relationship, right? Hook your father up.
Remember, I sent you. I'll let you get up out of here to to New Orleans and all that fun you had and all that good eating. And you remember I threw you that Super Bowl party. Time to pay the piper, Steven, Sean. Time to give back to old Daddy Jerry over here and let me win one there. But I see, and I think for me too, on the other side of that though, honestly, I'm more worried about linebacker than cornerback.
Right.
And for me, the move right now would be if I'm flipping a high pick to go do something, go get me a linebacker, and that's where I'm at more so than Surtain. Look, again, getting Surtain wouldn't bother me, but for now, man, go get me a linebacker because linebacker is short, it's thin. That's where if you're making that Amari Cooper style of move, it would be linebacker whispers left tackle. But I mean, I think we're okay over there. But I think we're okay. I said okay. Chuma, look, man, look. Chuma, hey man, Chuma might be the most valuable free agent we picked up this offseason. I'm just giving it a buck. I mean, we'll let this thing play out some. But the multiple games that he's played, okay. Pass coverage wasn't good in Arizona, but the run blocking was good, and we saw him bounce back and have a good game. Hey man, and we know, and we was here right here. And you saw him in live. It's like, man, he ain't doing it at tackle, and we were all able to see he wasn't doing it at tackle, but. Shout out to Chuma, but I'm not holding on to Tyron Smith, but I look a little word today. Maybe he will be ready. Maybe we finally get all five, but I ain't trust Mike McCarthy. I can't trust Mike McCarthy as far as I can throw him. So there's that. But for me, for now, it's linebacker more so of a concern for me still, even though trending in the right direction than cornerback. But we got time. That's the great thing. We got weeks before we get to the trade deadline to see.
BJ, is there a linebacker that you've been watching from another team that can be available that you would like the Cowboys to go and see? I know you mentioned Patrick Queen.
Yeah, I mean, right now, and not like deep diving. Like now, once we're going to the first round draft pick, now we're talking about a different slate of guys, right? We're talking about a different slate there. But I think right now, obviously, I think you're looking at the Patrick Queens, maybe the Murrays of the world out there with the Chargers in that realm. But I haven't turned my focus into a first round, style of, hey, are we going to go get this guy like I did last year? I was talking about go get Roquan Smith. So that's kind of a wait and see on that front. But I'll tell you what, Mary, I know you got to get out here pretty soon, so we'll try to wrangle this thing in. Mary, you see, you're over there, you didn't wrangle us in, and somebody's had to bring up Randy Gregory all of a sudden, and then that opened up the door for, hey, we'll just first with Patrick Surtain, and now all of a sudden we're going to be here for 3 hours. Special teams, though, real quick. Me, Mr. Special Teams Matter, and typically what we do here about old Bill Belichick, he don't get our coach special teams, but Bones Jones got him, didn't he?
Got him.
Book him, Dano. Got him.
Special teams, man. I can't believe it.
And Chauncey Golston. And Chauncey, the big fella. It's
he's
always
like,
a fun
how
time
many
with the
pounds?
big
Like
fellas.
280 at least?
No, I think he's like 303.
He might
95 to 303.
3 bills.
Yeah, he done chunked up. He got that chunky suit.
The cool thing was that they ran that same play the game before, so you could definitely tell that they was in that film room study. And I believe one of the announcers, I forgot who it was, said that they called out a code. So the minute they saw it, they recognized it, and that's when they execute the whole thing. Anger to Chauncey, and I love. I don't know if anybody saw the Sounds of the Sideline, but Tony Pollard's was priceless.
It's funny too because that's literally what happened to me at the game because we scored and I was like, oh yeah, we scored, and then they start screaming again and I'm like, wait, what happened? I literally was like, they did that? I was like literally the same as Tony Pollard. We were the same person.
Big facts. And then you get to this. Here's where I'm mad at you, Chuma Doga. They did get you there at the end of the first half with the little shift that got you to flinch because we was about to see Brandon Arby swing that leg from 66.
Yeah. Yes. I was like, if he makes this, I don't know what I can't remember what I said, but I was telling the person next to me, I was like, if he makes this, I'll do something, and then never know.
I had the opposite thought. I was so glad it happened. So I'm like, if they block this thing and run it back, he ain't gonna make this. I don't want to see this. So the fact that the offense went back,
I wanted to see it.
Well, here's the thing, though. They had set up a return, though. They had a guy in the back. I don't think they would have blocked it. But I mean, low trajectory things can happen. But here's the thing that I'll walk away from it. you're not allowing him to attempt it if you don't think he's got the leg.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
And I said, I didn't get to see him swing the leg, but they walked him out for 66 without hesitation.
Yeah, they like it was just like boom, we kicking it, and I was like, ooh.
Also,
okay,
also,
all right.
Then it took me back. Hold on, Spoon. Then it took me back to all that once they got rid of the other kicker and leading up. They're like, well, it's only 33 yards. They're not letting him kick no long ones. And
Right,
man, what are we doing? And we can't make the what's going on? Let's go back to old Mike McCarthy, that old shell game stuff that he likes to do. He's like, y'all ain't seeing it, but we know, and you don't need to know. And I said, say less. I mean, never mind. Was he 15-15 now? I know the very first extra point, but outside of that, perfect. He's made the 59-yarder, and then they allowed him to try out there for 66. All right.
I wanted to see it so badly.
And Truman had the false start. They went again to try to draw him offside to regain the 5 yards again.
Yeah.
To attempt it again. So it was like, man, they really believe in Aubrey.
It was so, man, I'll tell you what, there was so much damn gamesmanship there in that last 10 seconds for the, like, really, it amounted to no apparent reason, but I was like, what are we doing? But I'm with you there. Like, after the false start, okay, let's just take the knee and get out of here. Then it came back, I'm like, why are we lining up? And they tried to draw them off. I'm like, okay, guys, enough. But especially in this matter, salute to Bones Fossil with the 2-point play and as much as we know, a 66 yards apparently is in Brendan Arbery's leg.
Yeah.
That's all I know. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's give out some game balls. Game balls, Mary. I know you got to run, so let me get to your game ball first.
I think this one's pretty obvious for a lot of us, but Tyler Smith, man, like wow. Like for me, you know, it was even watching it just from, you know, live as it was happening. I was like, whoa, you know, what he was able to do. And especially knowing that, you know, he hasn't been 100% healthy coming into the year in some of the games. Like he's been so good. And especially when you think about how some of the media and other fan bases like got on the Cowboys about this pick. Like he has been not just on the team, but in the NFL, he's been doing so amazing and one of the best in his position.
Simple. Dom, your game ball.
Well, she took mine. So
I mean, you keep rolling out the red carpet for Ty Smith. Go right. I mean, it's your game ball. Give it to me.
No, I'll just throw on and add to it. Man, he is balling. Like these 2 weeks that he's been out there, easily Pro Bowl type. You just got to get the votes, but all pro type level. And y'all know I long have wanted him to be the left tackle of Dallas Cowboys, but to see him play the way that he's playing on the inside, knowing that this upcoming draft is a great draft for tackles, it's kind of weak on the inside. Man, go ahead, leave him where he is. Do fine, whatever. Find another left side guy, put him in left tackle. Don't matter. He's somewhere on that left side, stalking people, bullying people, tossing folks, and that's what we need. So I'll go ahead and give a second game ball to Tyler Smith.
Spoonie, who you give him the game ball to?
I'm giving it to number 26, Deron Bland. Listen, he had some big holes to fill. Losing Trayvon Diggs. Trayvon Diggs is the top 5 corner in the NFL. He had some big numbers his second year with double-digit numbers and interceptions. It was a big loss for this team, for this defense as well. And to come in there as you're not a second-round pick and believe like 5th or 6th round pick. He's asked to do anything he can to hit hard for this team and help this team win. From last year to this year, he leads. For the last 10 games, he leads the league in interceptions in the last 10 games. And to come in here, after the Cardinals' first start, he had a couple of roughs on plays to come against the Patriots and just have the way he picked up the 2 passes. It should have been 3. Could have been 3, but he got 2. Yeah, so it's like he's making this defense and also Dan Quinn feel comfortable to maybe do some of the things they were doing with Diggs, because they feel like he can handle his own. Of course, it's still early, but I love he's progressing right now. And again, we don't even know where his ceiling is right now. We don't know. So as I'll say this, he could potentially, maybe not beat Diggs' interception record if he continues, but maybe get to double digits by the time the season ends, the way he's balling. So that's my game board of DeRon Bland.
The other thing I'll say about Bland too, really quickly, is he's not a super burner, but looking at the tape this week, he has. It's not elite. I don't want to go that far yet. He has really good closing speed, and
anticipation.
Yeah, and when corners, to be good to elite corners, it's okay to be sticky, but you have to be able to have closing speed. Because take it easy, Mary, because you have to be able to close gaps when you do get beat. And a couple of particular plays in that game, in particular, and this is where it really shows, was on a drag route coming across, and there's space there, and you literally just watch him and break it up. And the thing that's pops for me tape wise when it comes to Bland is the closing speed that I see, because again, you don't think about that from him not being a burner, but that's definitely something I'm watching moving forward on him. My game, man, boy, I mean, so many different people we get the game ball to this game. Always easy in these kind of games, and it's going to seem like maybe a little low hanging fruit. But here's the thing: we haven't mentioned his name the entire show. I'm giving it to Michael Parsons. Guess what? Didn't fill up the stat sheet. No. Didn't have a turnover. No. What, he had 2 tackles? You know what else he had? 11 pressures. And you know what's crazy about that kind of status? Some guys only play with a high motor when they're getting home and they're filling up the stat sheet. He wasn't. Go turn on the tape. There's a couple of times he was being triple teamed. And he still got 11 pressures. And he got dinged up a little bit. He got stepped on, right? So the foot ankle, did the knee a little bit, and just doesn't stop in the progression of him and going to where he's trying to be. And if he can become a quote unquote generational player, and what I call for these defensive guys across the line is that's to turn into the John Stockton effect. Assists. How can I assist people? It ain't about me getting the stat sheet. It's somebody else because of what I'm doing. And this is a game for me where you were talking about a lot of different guys, and Clark having a great game. Oh, LV with a scoop. Oh, here comes Fowler. All these things. But because he was so impactful across this line, and again, 11 pressures, right, on the 2 tackles. But because the attention, no matter where he was and how they were adjusting, really freed up, and he assisted all these other guys to go out and have good games. So for me, I'd like to highlight him in a game where he didn't go absolutely nuts and stripping balls and getting 3 sacks or anything else. But I thought his impact was just watching that tape. To me, it was easy to see. I said, man, people are going to look at his stat sheet and say, okay, ho-hum day for him. But when you go look at the tape for him this week, you're like, man, he was an absolute wrecker of that game up front for a lot of people.
You know. Speaking of Parsons, I don't know. Again, I don't know if you guys saw the sounds of the sidelines. But for the past 4 weeks so far, he has not shown any type of smiling emotions, anything. He just ice cold vein. Just you see D-Law tap him, he just like he's possessed. The man is lying. Yeah, I mean he's doing exactly what he said he was going to do at training camp during this season. I'm coming at y'all a hungry ass line, and I'm telling you it's going to be difficult for everybody to come. And he's calling folks out, telling them I'm coming after you. So with that being said, man, Brock Purdy. We leave it for Friday.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that for Friday. All right, hey, and ladies and gentlemen, those that stuck around here, real quick, I do want to get into this giveaway that we're doing here for a signed Diggs jersey. Let me get that jersey up there real quick on the screen. Y'all see that right there? Got the TD right there. We got the Diggs jersey on deck. So we're doing a giveaway on the jersey, and here's simply how you have to do it to get in. And then for those that are already sub to us here, you get an extra entry. Okay, you get an extra entry. But what you need to do is go over to Twitter. If you do not follow me yet, it is your guy Nix at your guy Nix _ same as you see right here on the page. You have to follow me. You have to follow TSE Dallas. Let me pull it up for you right there so y'all can see it. There's the ones that are partnering with me to give this away for Pick Six Sports and Twitter. Make sure you slide over there, follow them, and then you have to repost my tweet. And Monday, October 9th, we're giving away this signed Trayvon Diggs jersey. So once again, you have to follow me. Okay. Make sure you go follow TSC_Dallas, Total Sports in Dallas. And then, of course, repost. And then, of course, you're subbed here, which automatically gives you a second entry for that. So tell a friend to get over there and follow me. And make sure if they're not over here, subject to sub over here and post it over to let me know you sub, because at that point, I do get you an extra entry into that for sure. And, for brownie points, make sure you go follow my guys too. Follow them where? So right there, at Dom, at Spoonie. Make sure you follow them as well too for the brownie points and whatnot. And like I said, Monday, I will definitely announce it on Twitter Monday, and then I'll figure if I'll do it over on YouTube as well. I might save it till Wednesday. But well, here's the thing: to be entered, if you sub here, you got to follow me on Twitter. So follow me on Twitter. I'm announcing it Monday, and we're gonna give out that signed Trayvon Diggs jersey. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, Dom, your final word for this Wednesday as we put the end and the cherry on top of this New England 38-3 victory for the Cowboys.
My final word is I didn't even want to recap this game because Cowboys Nation, the second that game was over, y'all turned the page quick. Like, we celebrated first week. Giants, man, that we clowned them. We were excited. We heard all the mess that they talked. Second week, did the same thing. Third week, we wet the bed. Y'all were arguing, fighting. The house was burning. But this week, y'all got it together. And y'all were like, on to San Francisco. We going to Santa Clara or Santa Barbara, wherever Santa.
Yeah, that's what I said.
It's gonna be like Santa Claus coming to town for the Cowboys when we go out to San Francisco and put it on them. So, hats off to y'all's Cowboys Nation.
10-4, Spoonie, your final word on this Wednesday.
I'm gonna say that just be available for roll call on Friday night. All hands on deck. We're going to war. We're going to war. And I'm telling you this right now, and I don't really announce my sermons, but I'm letting it all out. We're going to war. We're going to war at the Bay. This is going to be something. I'm telling you guys right now, roll call. 10-100 sharp. We're going to war. Excuse me. It's been retired, so it's 2200 sharp.
Oh, yeah, dropped the military hours. Also, too, we do have a special guest that's coming through that's going to speak on behalf of the 49ers. Gina V, if y'all know her from Twitter, definitely talk sports, TMZ regular as well, out there, huge just Bay Area fan. So Gina V will be joining us as well to bring us all the insights and everything on the 49ers Friday too. So make sure the place to be. Make sure you get over there and get into this Trayvon Diggs giveaway. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Free 99. Help us grow the channel. Help us grow over there on Twitter as well too. We'll see you Friday 8:30 p.m. Central. Spoonie gave you all the military hours, everything else. Look, I've never. Let me say this real quick. I've never had Spoonie tell me 48 hours ahead of time about a space, and he's already been on a torrent rant all year on space on his sermons, and he's been on scorching the Scoville level of those. And I've never in our 5th season here heard him give me a 48-hour warning. I know we all got these alerts on our phone today, right? I didn't know what it was. Is the purge starting? What's going on? I think what I know now is it was letting me know that Spoonie's already ready for a sermon is what happened. With that being said, y'all have a great rest of your week. We'll see you Friday night, of course. And no matter what, it's always forward. Peace. And now the awkward ending because I couldn't hit in stream quick enough.